What's up? Welcome to Tackett's House of Horsepower. It's me, Steve Tackett. This weekend, we're gonna take a break from Down and Dirty because we got problems. We got pretty big problems. You know, on some YouTube channels and TV shows and stuff, they always show everything works out, you know, like 30 minutes, hour-long show, and everything just went together perfect, and it ran perfect, and it made 1,000 horsepower, and they did it in a weekend for $200, and it runs forever, and it gets 30 miles to the gallon, and everybody's happy. Well, sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. So I guess I just gonna have to just come out and show you. Okay, it's not one of the Chevelles. They're chilling, they're happy, they're doing their thing. Nope, it's one of the wagons. Is it Okie? Nope. It's the blue wagon. Oh my God, here we go. It's filthy dirty. That's one of the problems, but that's not the problem. It is dirty because it sits outside because I got no room. I'm out of space. I need to shop one of these days. But that's a different problem. That's a different episode. This episode is gonna be about the blue wagon. So let's take it for a spin. All right, yeah, this thing is dirty actually, sitting outside. All right, so this is a cold start. As you can see, it has not ran today, so let's see what happens. Keep your eye on this guy right there. Ready? Give it a little tappy tap. Pretty good. Yeah. Almost 80 PSI. That's a real live cold start. This motor runs good. Almost tried to die. Okay, so we'll call that 65, 70 PSI at idle. Cold. Right? Okay. Watching. We're not up to temperature yet. We're just driving. We're leaving the community. I'm trying to drive one-handed. I'm all over the road. Don't worry about it. Okay. About 60. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Let's keep going. Temperature gauge hasn't moved yet. It's cold out. It's about 69 degrees out right now. So the temperature gauge is going to be kind of slow coming up. But that's all right. Just keep watching. All right, temperature's starting to come up. Watch the oil pressure gauge. Every time I get on the gas, the oil pressure drops. hotter. Like if it gets to 180, 190, that'll drop even lower. So there you have it. We got options though. So what do? Do we ignore it and keep driving it? Some people would say, yeah, screw it, send it. You can do that if you can afford to replace the engine. Great. Run it till it throws a rod and then it's a boat anchor and you start all over. There's a lot of good parts in that engine. It's a pretty healthy 406 and it's mostly parts left over from the green Chevelle. So there's a lot of good parts in that engine and I don't want to do that. So I think the best thing to do is to pull it out and see exactly what's going on with it and possibly step it down to my old 350 that came out of the vehicle. We'll get into that in a minute. So as you saw, there's an oil pressure problem. And typically when you see that gauge go up and then under a load it drops and then comes back up when you let off, typically that's caused by two problems. It could be possibly cavitating the pump, like you're frothing up the oil and you're getting a lot of air bubbles in the oil. That engine does not have a windage tray and it is a 400 stroke, so it could be possible. So one way I check that is to drain some of the oil out and run it and see if the problem gets better. I did that. It's about a quart and a half low right now and it did not make a difference. The other thing is it didn't do this before, so this problem has been creeping up. You know, of course I beat on the car pretty hard. Every time I get in it, I'm pretty rough on it. So that's the way it is with all my vehicles though. And that's fine. The thing is, when there is a problem, you want to catch it early. I don't recommend just send it, who cares? I mean, if it's a junkyard engine and you don't care, then great. But if you care about the parts in that engine, then I would recommend pulling it out. So what I think is happening is a bigger issue than cavitating the pump, which, I mean, it still could be. But most likely it's a main bearing issue and the crankshaft is being pushed away from the oil pressure holes, which is if the engine's upside down, they're on the bottom, they're closer to the camshaft. So under a load, the crank wants to be pushed away from the cylinder heads, which is where the oil hole is. So if the crank wants to move down, then you're opening up a gap between the oil pressure hole and the bearing in the crankshaft journal. So that is most likely what it is, because I mean, I checked the oil and the oil looks nice and golden clean. So hopefully I'm catching it early. That's good. So the engine is probably rebuildable. It's most likely my fault because I use and reuse a lot of parts. So that crankshaft and rods came from a different engine, my buddy Jason's engine from a long time ago. And the block came from somewhere else, and I put things together, used parts from the Chevelle. The whole top end is basically the old top end from my Chevelle. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's probably my fault for throwing together a bunch of random used parts, but it's okay. I kind of think that engine's a little bit more than I need for just cruising the car shows and stuff. And I have my old engine I can put back in it. So we'll go through that. But that one needs a lot of work. So I've been on the phone ordering parts this week. So preparing for just this occasion.